Coming to you, pre-recorded from Casa de Regis in Culver City, California, it's the Reggie N Regis Podcast!
And welcome to episode 7 of the Reggie N Regis Podcast. I am your co-host, Reggie Bobrin. To my left is my partner in crime, Regis.
Yes, that's Regis. One name like Madonna or Cher, but younger and way less talented.
And today, obviously, we will be covering the 2020 NFL Draft. Wow. You know, Reg, I really didn't know what to expect going into, Thursday afternoon, I guess in our time, like 5
o'clock our time,
5 p.m. I didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of anticipating, and I know we kind of touched upon it like earlier, like just kind of like, man, how is this going to like play out? Is it going to be a shit show? Is it going to be exciting? I was very surprised and very excited. It was probably one of the better drafts that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I'd heard some Twitter reports as early as Monday saying that Cincinnati, when they were doing the mock of taking their first overall pick, that they had some technical glitches, and we're thinking, oh shit, they might not have this figured out by Thursday afternoon. Yeah, there was a lot of concern.
There was actually a couple of organizations that was like they had some glitches in there, but it turned out to it came out pretty well. I mean, I was very impressed, and like just, I mean, it was so many different scenarios. Like we got a chance to like see these NFL coaches and GMs, and I guess they're kind of random kind of lives with their children and their families and things of that sort.
And before we get too much into that, let's just take this opportunity to thank everybody at ESPN and the NFL Network and the NFL operations people, not just on camera, not just the main producers, but even the front line people who were trying to switch everything back and forth and making sure everything was all coordinated at one time during the broadcast over the 3 days, because that had to be an undertaking to where there were a lot of logistics they had to figure out in less than 5 weeks.
Right.
And they made a truly excellent television program out of that not only did we get to see the football side of it, which of course we're going to delve into as we go further in the show, but we got to see something a little bit different that we're not used to as football fans.
Right. And again, like my personal experience on day one, I actually had some buddies of mine in Miami, Florida, that we were kind of like Zooming each other and kind of watching the draft play out together, texting each other, and it was actually a really pretty cool experience. I mean, it's just like one I hope that we never go through again, but definitely a unique experience.
Well, let me ask you this, Reggie. When you and your friends were Zooming each other, did your apartments at least look normal? I mean, it looked like places most people could live in?
I tried to get the best side of my apartment, so like basically I did mine through the phone, so I kind of like I angled it like to like, okay, this looks kind of nice, and they might think I'm like doing very well, better than I actually am. But
well, let's put it this way: NFL head coaches and GMs and owners, in some scenarios, as we saw in their living rooms from Thursday to Saturday, clearly are living lives better than the rest of us.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of came out of round one thinking, when I die, I want to come back as Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, his house, which apparently is worth $4.4 million in Paradise Valley, Arizona. I mean, my God, it looked like a fucking porn set.
He had a cabana.
He had a fire pit, and it was 98 degrees in Paradise Valley on Thursday.
A perfectly manicured lawn. He had loafers on. He looked like he was just kind of...
No, seriously, the loafers he had on looked like the crocodile shoes that Ric Flair used to wear back in the 70s.
Woo! Yeah. He looked like he was just kind of relaxed. This is an NFL head coach, and he just like he was lounging, watching a football game. Like, it was just like incredible. I remember thinking that like 7, I'm like, what? I mean, he was definitely the rock star of the draft.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury's drip is going to go woo on a lot of bitches. But yeah, if you saw this place, like the outside had like these white tiles. There was like 4x4. There was a cabana and a fire pit in the back. The living room was enough to fit pretty much all the platinum mined in the earth in one cube.
What is it? Is it Paradise Valley in Arizona?
Yeah, Paradise Valley in Arizona. It's outside of Scottsdale. Actually, a friend of mine just bought a house in Scottsdale. And
a buddy of mine owns an apartment in Scottsdale. So
yeah, so it's the nice part of the Phoenix area, and this place just In the immortal words of the movie Van Wilder, it was decorated an early fuck.
What do you think? A+?
No, A+ is not even like putting it. A+ would be putting it too lightly.
Yeah, so we had, obviously, we got a glimpse of some of these coaches and GMs kind of like, I guess, personal lives and whatnot. It was pretty interesting to see. I mean, I didn't think that would be kind of the story, but it's kind of like manifested and like kind of taking on a life of its own. We had a few interesting ones.
Well, there's some you'd obviously expect, right? Cliff Kingsbury, I figured he'd probably try to put himself out there, but I didn't expect him to flex that hard. Now, somebody else who flexed really hard, who you would totally expect, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, Jerry and his $250 million yacht. And yeah, very nice. I mean, Jerry's typical Jerry. I mean, I think he had his daughter right next to him on the first day and things of that sort. We didn't really get to see kind of like the extravagant kind of like view the one that we had with Kingsbury. But I mean, Jerry was doing Jerry, and it was kind of like it was interesting. I mean, you saw Belichick and his checkered table and this kind of like his dog Nike.
Yeah, well, that's another example of somebody doing something you might expect, but on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, right?
Well, no, that's kind of fit Belichick's personality. It's kind of like
that house looked like it smelled like old people and tapioca.
Pretty much. But he did have a very kind of human moment with his dog Nike. Basically, because I mean, if you kind of watched it in and out, like Belichick was barely ever there. It was just like, I don't know if he was using the bathroom. I don't know if he was just kind of like who knows what he was doing. But
dude,
there was this one particular shot that had his dog like sitting in a chair, and it's just basically looking at the screen. It's like kind of like I was just like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know. Do you think he kind of planted that as like kind of?
This is Bill Belichick we're talking about, who does his homework on every single player he has and every opponent he goes up against. I'm willing to bet that Bill Belichick probably staged that somehow. But again, that's just conspiracy theorist me.
How cool is it his dog is named Nike?
Belichick probably took some money for that one. Now,
I kind of want to touch upon this. Obviously, we talked about Kingsbury, talked about Belichick. How about the most awkward moment, Mike Vrabel.
Yes, pride of Walsh Jesuit High School.
You're an Ohio guy.
Not just Ohio guy, same high school as me.
What the hell was that about?
Okay, so there is...
Wait. Hold on. So we had, I guess, is two of his sons, I'm assuming. One looked like a reject from Frozen, and another one with blonde, dyed hair, mean mugging.
No, there were three things going on here. The first one, the reject from Frozen, was wearing a light blue, Titans blue bodysuit that, let's just say it resembled a feminine hygiene product.
Why did they look like WWE wrestlers, like cutting a promo? Like, what was with the stance and just the mean mugging and the looks on their face?
I have no idea what was going on, and I don't want to. The other one who was standing to Vrabel's left, so screen right, he looked like Joe Exotic from that Netflix show, Tiger King, wearing a Pro Bowl jersey. I mean, who buys a fucking Pro Bowl jersey?
And do we dare touch upon the third
one? I think we have to, right?
I mean, okay. If any of you noticed during the actual live taping of it, it kind of looked like, I don't know.
And like it was a mirror reflection, mind you, not like a direct shot.
What's kind of like the most personal thing that we do in our homes? Like kind of like, just times like, hey, like...
whack off?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. What is it? Okay, long story short, I'm pretty sure like anybody who watched it kind of saw what kind of transpired. It looked like somebody was taking a number 2.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to perform a system evacuation, if you will.
But Vrabel did come out the next day and said, oh, I guess that was his son.
Yeah.
Was not actually doing that. He was sitting on a bar stool.
Bullshit.
Look, I don't know. But it did look kind of awkward. But it's just that whole setup. Because, again, you have two people, his sons, I guess. One, it's just the pose, the look, and then you had
the fact
Vrabel.
that the top of it was white. It looked like a douche.
And you looked at Vrabel, and he's just kind of like just typical Mike Vrabel. I mean, he's got that chiseled feature, and he's kind of just sitting there, just kind of like that, with all this happening behind him. I'm like, I mean, you talk about was anything staged? I mean, with Belichick, I'm like, that was just really freaking weird.
Yeah, of course. I'm not sure if you saw in rounds 2 and 3 the next night when Vrabel was shown on the draft broadcast. He just had a big Tennessee Titans flag behind him.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
No, I mean, like big enough to put inside like somebody's yard, just to make sure that all the bullshit going on with the Vrabel family wasn't visible to the world.
I guess he probably took a look at social media and saw kind of like the kind of awkward kind of responses. That was actually pretty funny. I mean, again, like going into it, we had no idea what to expect. Again, as you mentioned, NFL Network and ESPN did a wonderful job. Roger Goodell, he's obviously somebody. I mean, he was probably if this was a movie or a play, he was the main guy because I mean, basically, he was just everywhere. Roger obviously has. Not the most charismatic guy.
He doesn't have the most positive reputation with the fans for a number of reasons over the years.
A little bit dry, personality-wise.
And I think he was trying too hard with trying to get everybody to boo him. Like, I'm not sure if I can speak for everybody here, but when he was at the drafts in, like, Philadelphia and Dallas and Nashville and all that, the fact that everybody was booing him and he barely acknowledged it made it better. And, like, you knew he knew it, but you also knew he loved it, but the fact that he didn't say it made it better. I
love the concept that he did have, like, kind of like the fans on their Zoom, kind of like as a part of the broadcast. But, kind of playing it up, like, come on, boo me, this and that. I'm like, it's so much better when it's organic and he steps on the stage and he's naturally just getting murdered by everybody.
Well, if you saw at the end of
he didn't troll the right way.
Well, if you saw the end of the Friday night portion when you could tell he was starting to run out of gas, like he was starting to sit in the chair. He's like, guys, I'm getting tired. These M&Ms are getting low. And then finally, by the last pick, he's like, with the 98th pick and the 2020 NFL draft, like you could tell, like he looked like he was either drunk or stoned. He probably wasn't, but. He looked like he could have been, and quite frankly, that was a hell of a lot better than him trying to get booze out of those fan bases.
Yeah, and granted, he's the commissioner in the NFL. He's not an entertainer. He's not, he's not supposed to be up there to show us his kind of candid, forthcoming personality. But it was kind of like, after a while, it's like, damn, like Roger, the guy. I'm not going to go as far as to say I kind of felt bad for him, but you could tell it was kind of an uncomfortable situation. He kind of just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, but again, to be fair, like there is no blueprint for having done this, and the fact that he had to cut in and out so many times, not just on interviews, but on announcing picks as well. All in all, I never thought I would say this as an NFL fan, but Roger Goodell actually did a fucking really good job with this.
He did actually score some bonus points. I mean, I came away thinking like he did the most with what he had. He didn't come out bad, but, kind of got a glimpse of him. Like, yeah, like Roger's probably not a guy I'd probably want to have a beer with. But he did the best that he could. And in this kind of unprecedented situation, again, the whole experience, just from a fan standpoint, it was very positive.
And the one thing I liked about all of it, in addition to the NFL having their draftathon where they raised a lot of money for victims and first responders, obviously a lot of good was done there. But all of these young guys who otherwise weren't going to have their moment, not only were able to have their moment in front of a national audience like they would have in a normal draft year, but they got to do it with their friends and families in their home environments.
Yeah, I especially obviously starting with Joe Barrow. Yeah, it was cool seeing. I mean, look, when you watch I should say normal NFL draft over the past years, you see like family, you see their agents there and whatnot. It was actually something that was actually very, I don't know, it was very humanistic. Like, just like them in their, I guess their parents' living room and whatnot, just being there together, celebrating, still having that moment to take in and just, this career changing kind of like, life changing, I should say, kind of experience. And you still got to see that. You still got to see them embrace and kind of just, that joy, that kind of all their hard work paid off.
And something else to add in is like most years with the top guys, right? They're in a green room or a galley area that TV sets up right by where Commissioner Goodell is making the picks. So they're not actually with the people that are close to them, at least not as many as they would have been in this scenario. But now, like, they get to celebrate truly how they want to. Joe Burrow, as the number one pick, did his interview in sweatpants in his parents' house in Athens, Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was wow. I personally, I came away from this past 2020 NFL draft like very positive reviews. I just everything, even the awkward moments were like really just like incredible. Like look, Kingsbury came out as the big rock star. That's probably my favorite coach in the NFL right now. Just like forget the coaching aspect. I want his life. If I die tomorrow, I want to be reincarnated as Cliff Kingsbury.
You want to be reincarnated as a Texas Tech quarterback who got drafted by the Patriots, won a ring with them, ends up becoming a 6-year head coach at Texas Tech.
With a losing record.
With a losing record, then still gets offered the offensive coordinator job at USC, quits that after weeks, get an NFL head coaching job, and has a $4.4 million house in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Yeah, sure, I'll take that too.
And he kind of looks like Ryan Gosling, so, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's part of intention.
I mean, he was the big winner.
In life.
It's just anything. But again, kudos to the NFL. The way everything came out was just like it was a great experience. Hopefully, this is the only time we're ever gonna just go through this ever again. But what an experience it was, and again, kudos.
And next year the draft's in Cleveland. You think I'm not flying home for that?
Yeah, and I'm glad, even though kind of Roger kind of butchered it. The draft will be in Las Vegas again in 2022.
Yes, he said the wrong year when he did it the first time. It
happens. I'm pretty sure. Look,
being said, the tweet I saw on Twitter, it's like, kudos to Roger Goodell for announcing that the 2020 NFL draft will be in Las Vegas halfway through it already happening.
Come on, I mean, this is like crush him for that. I got what he was trying to say. With that being said, we just want to touch upon the draft picks.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in addition to seeing people's lives in terms of draftees, coaches, and GMs that we saw through this NFL draft, actual football business did take place.
Yeah, so the first 3 picks for my money played out the way it was going to play out the way it should have played out.
Yeah, if you listened to our show last week, we kind of made our prognostication of how things were going to be for some of these top guys. And the one takeaway I'll have, at least from the first round, is that the biggest surprise was the lack of surprise.
Yeah, I mean, there was one trade. I think it was there was
there were 2 trades.
Two trades.
And we'll get to those later.
Right. But it was, I didn't expect a lot of trades, a lot of, like things to happen, obviously with the times that we're in right now. But the biggest surprise that I came away from the first round was the fact that a lot of, I think every team pretty much touched upon what they needed to touch upon. Like they got their needs for their specific organizations. I don't think. Well, there is one. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Well, 2 actually, but
one in the first round. But every team pretty much did a good job. Now, I'm not going to be one of those like hack analysts that says, this great draft grade. We will never know what a draft class will be until 2-3 years down the line.
Exactly. Like we're at a point here in 2020 where only now can we really start to see how good the 2017 draft was.
Exactly.
Which was the one with Myles Garrett and Mitch Trubisky. Okay, we all knew he'd be a bust. But
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And guys like that.
DeForest Buckner. Yeah. We can't. Again, it's so silly and it's so cliche to say, this team came away with an A+ draft class and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, we won't know. But with that said, again, from what we know of the particular teams, every team came away with, I guess, like the correct pick, the pick that made the most sense, and even some had a few surprises, which we'll get to.
Well, not only that, but a good gauge of how a draft can be is how do the fan bases feel about their team after the draft as compared to going in. And, if the draft grades I'm reading and what I'm seeing on social media is any indication, there are a lot of fan bases who unequivocally feel that their team is better on Saturday, April 25th at 6 p.m. Pacific time than it was on Thursday, April 23rd at 4 p.m. Pacific time when the draft began.
Now, Regis, the draft didn't officially start for me to the number 5 pick.
Yeah, so Obviously, Burrow went number 1 to the Bengals, even though they did get him a good weapon in the second round with T. Higgins.
Chase Young went second.
Chase Young went second to the Redskins. We all knew that was happening. Okudah went third to the Lions, and they got DeAndre Swift in the second round as well. That helped
Andrew
them out.
Thomas went fourth to my Giants.
Yeah, and that was the big question: was which tackle we were going to take.
Exactly. We knew we were going to take a tackle. We just which one? Look, I would have been happy with any one of them. Andrew Thomas, before the combine, was the number 1 ranked tackle coming out of Georgia. So I'm happy we got him. Like, solid guy. Investing into our potential franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones and our superstar running back in Saquon Barkley.
And you got a nice pick in Xavier McKinney in the second round.
Exactly. And again, Dave Gettleman, I've been a very harsh critic of Dave Gettleman. He did a wonderful job. Regarding my team, your Cleveland Browns actually had a very good job.
We'll get to them in a second.
But just from an outside point of view, very good job. But as I mentioned prior, the draft didn't really start for me till the 5th pick. The Dolphins sent out a lot of smoke screens. Basically, Herbert. We like Herbert. We're not. Tua's medicals. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I love the game that they played. I mean, first of all, Tua was the correct pick. Now, I think going forward, they finally, and again, we won't know until a few years. I'm pretty sure even if we do have an NFL season this upcoming year, Tua should not play. I don't expect him to play. Let him sit. Let him learn. Let him get better. But it was the correct pick.
And not only that, Miami had a lot of other picks as well.
Exactly.
And they were able to surround him with some of the help he needed, particularly at pick number 18.
But, Flores and Greer did a great job. And they got the guy that they wanted, the correct pick. And with that being said, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it has more to do with the talent they're going to have to surround him with because...
but they did a great job.
They did. And
they got him an offensive tackle.
Yeah, Austin Jackson was his name from USC.
Exactly. He has a great backstory as far as donating bone marrow to his sister last season, prior to the last season. Which kind of he didn't have the best season, obviously, but he was definitely a talented guy. Definitely a guy who, I guess prior to that was very high on people's boards and things and whatnot. But I found that backstory to be very just kind of heartwarming.
Oh yeah, it definitely shows a great character on that young man's part. But with where Miami is, right, they were a 5-win team last year. Most people didn't even think they were going to accomplish that. Brian Flores did a great job with a depleted roster, and now they have a bunch of good new additions, especially with Ryan Fitzpatrick still there as a veteran leader. I think they're in a spot to where they can contend in a couple years, assuming everything goes right.
They all but tried to tank the fuck out. More so than any team that I've ever seen in my life.
And they weren't even that successful.
And they played hard. And they basically beat a New England Patriots team in Week 17 that needed to win that game. So the Patriots were not tanking that particular game because that would have been a first-round bye.
Exactly, and Kansas City would have played in the first game with Tennessee instead of New England.
So that showed me a lot. I like what they did with their all their picks. I love the fact that they didn't have to trade up 2 spots to get the guy. Let's be honest, they honestly wanted to begin with. With that said, Herbert going to the Carson City Chargers. Oh, wait, is it Carson City?
No, Carson City is actually the capital of Nevada. Carson, California, is the place where they've actually played their games the last few years.
Gotcha.
Which is technically in the L.A. area, even though half of sports media still calls them the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. Their merch still does not sell in this city whatsoever. It's just bad.
Although I will say they unveiled their new uniforms earlier this week.
Very impressive. The all white with the
all I can say is our boy Jonas did a great job on those.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I was just like, and they actually, believe it or not, they have the more talented roster of the Los Angeles teams.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So they got their, their potential quarterback going forward in Herbert, Justin Herbert.
But again, they have Tyrod Taylor there right now, and you can't have Herbert be the day one starter.
No.
He's not consistent enough.
You know what? I could kind of see it playing out the same way it played out with Baker.
Easily.
Tyrod will start like maybe a month, maybe even a little bit more. But I mean, Herbert has the experience as a 4-year player. I don't know, maybe 3-year starter, but he definitely play. He has the experience. I could see if the Chargers start to struggle,
which they typically do early in the year.
Right. And them just basically just putting Herbert in, just like letting him learn on the fly, which I mean makes a ton of sense.
Especially in what is after this draft a rapidly improved AFC West.
Exactly. Oh wow. Yeah.
And we're not even talking the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't even have that great of a draft.
Exactly. I mean,
but the Broncos and the Raiders, they made some moves.
Yeah.
They made some noise.
So just to touch upon the rest of the top 10, number 6 was
was Herbert, we talked about.
I'm sorry. 7 was
Derek Brown.
Carolina Panthers.
The defensive tackle out of Auburn. Just a good meat and potatoes pick for them with Matt Rule trying to reconstruct that team.
Yeah. 7, Isaiah Simmons.
That was 8.
Huh?
8 was Isaiah Simmons.
I'm sorry. Oh, my numbers are going on. 6 is Herbert. 7 was Derek Brown. And 8 was Isaiah Simmons. And I'm pretty sure the Cardinals did not expect him to fall that far down. That was a pretty nice surprise for them.
And they had a real big need at offensive tackle. Like, we were thinking they were going to get one of the 4 big names for sure. Now, they ended up filling that need with Josh Jones, who slipped all the way to the 3rd round, which, I mean, you talk about a team taking advantage of the value of its draft position. Arizona did that.
Right. Initially, when they got to the 8th pick, and I was just like, nah, this is one of those kind of value picks. It's just like, he's just too good to pass up. Like, I mean, like, yeah, we should kind of build a line around Kyler Murray. But nah, this is kind of like the Swiss Army knife, probably the most versatile player in this draft. I mean, you take him, and again, they got their guy Josh Jones in the 3rd round. So I mean, they had a great draft. And
Arizona over the course of this offseason. Oh yeah, sure. All the hype is going to be for Tampa Bay because of picking up Tom Brady. But outside of them, I'd say Arizona has maybe had the best offseason of any franchise in the NFL.
Right. And 9, Jacksonville Jaguars got C.J. Henderson, cornerback, Florida. Now we start to get to the 10 to 20 picks, which is kind of like, okay, like this is, first of all, no receivers came off the board. We still had 2 offensive linemen, 2 of the highly.
No, 3 of them.
3 of them.
Yeah, well, 3 of them going into pick 10, right? Because only Thomas had come off.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, Thomas had come off, so they had 3 of them going there. So you kind of want to see how things would play out.
And again, like this was billed as a heavy offensive line and wide receiver draft, and those 2 positions still had most of their guys on the board going into pick 10 with the Browns.
Exactly. So Wills goes to your beloved Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. When I was texting my buddies on Thursday when we were watching this, the fact that we had our pick between Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, and Mekhi Becton, between the 3 of them going into pick number 10, and the fact that we didn't have to pull off any of our usual Browns trade shenanigans in order to do it was, in my opinion, a blessing from the gods. So, we go with who Andrew Berry had highest on his board, Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, who did a great job protecting Tua. He'll be able to slide right in either right at left tackle, or maybe we have Jack Conklin play on the left.
Exactly. The Conklin signing, it looks even better now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And now Baker Mayfield has what he didn't have when the Browns were overhyped last year.
Time to throw.
Time to throw the football.
Yeah, and I guess the next big domino to fall was Tristan Wirfs San Francisco traded 1 spot with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, how good of a week? How good of a week is Tampa having? I mean, they got Wirfs at 12.
Well, no, they got him at 13.
At 13.
Because at 11, Mekhi Becton went with the next pick to the Jets.
Yeah, again, another scenario where a young quarterback, Sam Darnold, has kind of like
needed protection.
Exactly.
And got it.
Now they have a foundation. All 4 teams actually with the young quarterbacks. All 3 teams. One, like an older guy. Like I.
Yeah. What's he now? TB43.
TB43 is what I've officially named him. TB43. But all 3, the Giants, the Jets, and the Browns, with young offensive linemen, young quarterbacks, kind of build a foundation, which was the perfect move. But with Wirfs at 13, traded with San Francisco. Tom Brady's having a pretty good week.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the biggest signing for the Tampa Bay Bucks this week, was drafting Tristan Wirfs. Now, when they traded up to 13, obviously, they were going to go offensive linemen. But there was another move made earlier this week,
Gronk.
Gronk. Yeah, Rob Gronkowski on Tuesday afternoon comes out of retirement. The Patriots trade him and a 7th rounder to the Buccaneers for a 4th rounder. So the Patriots get a 4th rounder for free, essentially. So Gronk shows up in Tampa Bay, and we immediately know that the Buccaneers are going to have that wonderful superhero known as Florida Man on their roster. But it wasn't who we thought it would be after this week.
How about Tom Brady getting cited at a local park for basically breaking the standard social distancing rule?
Not even that. Like, if you go to the parks around here, like, you can go into the parks, but all the...
He's putting a workout. He's doing a workout.
The exercise equipment's all taped off.
Yeah.
But, he's just like, you know what?
Well, we don't know the details of what he was actually doing. Maybe he was throwing footballs. Maybe he's, like, doing something. But he definitely had probably a group with him and some kind of, like, park cop.
Or at least some onlookers.
Yeah, some park cop basically saw him and was just like, hey... the fuck are you doing?
No, that's a rent-a-cop trying to make himself a name.
But imagine being that rent-a-cop and you're like, is that like, hey, you can't be here, like, And Tom with his kind of like that, that famous Brady grin.
Yeah, he's not going to go up to the guy. It's like, bitch, you know who the fuck I am.
No. Yeah, well, that definitely wouldn't be Tom. But he kind of had that sheesh kind of like. Sorry, officer. I didn't think it would be a big deal. You know how Brady is. Yeah, like kind of like that expression that he has. It's like
that boyish, shucks,
that kind of shucks kind of thing that he's kind of
that
mastered.
Is also kind of patronizing at the same time.
Right. So basically, we do know that Brady is officially in Tampa now.
Well, not only that, you heard about what else he did.
Oh yeah, he apparently stumbled onto somebody else's property and walked into it was Byron Leftwich. He's the offensive coordinator. Apparently, now to his credit, the individual's home looks exactly like Leftwich's home. So I guess there was kind of a bit of mixed signals there. So Brady walks in. I was wondering why that particular individual had his door open to begin with, but.
This is another Florida man we're talking about.
Yeah, true, yeah. So Brady walks into the guy. If you read this story, he walks into the guy's house. Brady looks at the gentleman. I guess he was sitting on the couch and basically gives him a, how you doing? And the guy says, good. Like, who the fuck are you? And it took, I guess, Brady like a minute to kind of realize I'm in the wrong house, aren't I? And then the guy was just like, yeah. So from all the reports, Brady kind of, apologizes, darted out. The guy, realizing the situation, basically, I guess, grabs his phone and tries to run out and take a picture. But by that time, Brady was already going into Leftwich's house. And it made for a pretty funny story. Innocent story. I mean, kind of like, who has that happened to? That's never happened to you?
No, somebody walking into my apartment? That's happened here.
Or you walk into somebody else's apartment?
I've done that too.
I've accidentally walked in a woman's bathroom once, and that was kind of very embarrassing. So I kind of fell for Tom. I kind of realized, I'm like, wow, this is actually a very nice men's bathroom. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, I think everybody's done that.
Yeah, and so I saw a woman walk in, and I was like, oh, God. So I kind of fell for Brady.
But this could be the beginning of a slippery slope. Like, who knows? In 2 weeks, Tom Brady might be throwing an alligator through a Wendy's window.
Stranger things have happened in Florida. But with that being said, Brady's had a good week. He has his safety blanket in Gronk year.
Now, let me ask this. You remember last year, with Baker Mayfield getting Odell Beckham and all the offseason signings that the Browns made.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this is just, me and my Browns fandom experience. Are you getting some overhyped vibes for the 2020 Buccaneers?
No.
I kind of am, dude.
Again, you don't have a rookie head coach, a guy who probably was not ready to be a head coach, who's probably not going to ever be a head coach.
No, probably not, no.
You don't have young guys. I mean, look, even a guy like Odell, who's been in the league for like 6 years now, I mean, Odell's not a leader. Look, if your wide receiver is your leader, or basically, and we know what Odell's about.
Unless it's Larry Fitzgerald.
Exactly. We know what Odell's about. Odell's about that life. I mean, it's not to say he doesn't work hard.
He's not about the team. It's about Odell.
Obviously, he's a very talented player. He never wanted to go to Cleveland. Let's be honest. He wanted to come to the Rams out here in lovely LA, and we have like 80-degree weather right now.
No, literally, this is the devil's box we're recording this in right now.
I heard rumors that he wanted to go to the Patriots. I mean, like, he never wanted to go to Cleveland. But I thought it would work because Jarvis Landry is one of his best buddies, going back to LSU, this, that, and the other.
Right, if anybody could rein him in, it'd be him.
But you in the Buccaneers, you have the GOAT. You have the greatest player, which is ultimately
43
is gonna command respect, regardless. I mean, Godwin essentially was just like, okay, I'm gonna give you my jersey. Well, no, we don't know. Maybe Tom, maybe.
No, Tom probably like
Tom probably threw him a bone.
No, threw him a bone, or at least threw his charity a bone, or something like that.
Maybe a Ferrari, maybe a Porsche. I don't know, whatever Godwin say. But he's gonna command respect. Now he has a lieutenant, a guy who can basically be a filter for Tom to be like, this is how this TB43 rolls. This is exactly what he expects of you, and this is how basically, you're gonna get his respect.
And did you ever think that any time in the careers of Brady and Gronk that Gronk would be the filter for Brady?
No. But, I mean, look, Gronk has said he will not play for any other quarterback but Tom Brady.
And you have to remember, Gronk's still only 30 years old.
31.
No, he was born in 89. But his
he's going to be 31. He'll probably be
30, 31, something like that. But,
right.
Yeah, he's still, he's not old. He's still more than a decade younger than Brady. And he's still close enough in age to guys like, Evans and Godwin and O.J. Howard and Connor Brayton and all them that he can be a good bridge between old and young.
And let's be honest, Gronk is just one of those guys. I want to hang out with Gronk. If I do anything in my life, I'd want to hang out at least for one night with that guy just to see what the experience would be like. I mean, he's just that guy.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think he's going to contribute. Obviously, look, they have some talent. O.J. Howard and Cameron Bright. They have guys there, but he's going to be that safety blanket. It's good continuity for Tom Brady just to have just a guy who's been with him through the success to kind of just be there as just a safety blanket.
Now, the one last question I have to ask is, and this is a pure hypothetical, can you imagine how awesome that Hard Knock season would be if they were the team being profiled?
Aren't they doing it both the Chargers and the Rams?
It's not made official yet, but assuming everything goes on schedule, what they're doing is having the Chargers and the Rams, because they'd be sharing a training camp facility at the new SoFi Stadium, they would be co-headliners on HBO's Hard Knocks. Jared Goff and Justin Herbert. I can't wait. That's appointment television.
So to touch upon the rest of the picks from 10 to 20, the Raiders went with an old school pick.
It's something Al Davis would have been proud of.
Channeling the inner Al Davis.
They get Henry Ruggs out of Alabama, getting the Derek Carr / Marcus Mariota experiment, a weapon that they really needed.
I like the pick. I liked it
too because they have a good tight end in Darren Waller. Josh Jacobs really broke out his first year, but they really needed some wide receiver help, and they got 3 wide receivers in the first 81 picks. But Ruggs appears to be that guy that has the most upside, that can really deliver in really a multiple set of wide receiver roles. He can play slot, he can play number 1. There's a lot of things he can do.
Yeah, and Judy goes to the Broncos, so he's going to be a target for Drew Lock. Who I mean, Drew Lock actually showed me a lot, especially those last 4 or 5 games. I think Elway kind of hit it with this particular guy. I mean, he's got the. He looks like he could be the guy going forward.
Well, Locke needed weapons, right? Because they traded Emmanuel Sanders first half of last year. Cortland Sutton really did come around, toward the middle and end of last year. He's kind of looking like
presence. That was the way I was looking for. He's got the presence of a potential kind of future starting quarterback.
Yeah, they got a good tight end in Noah Fant. So now it looks like Denver's finally starting to get those weapons that are going to help Drew Lock out, and they got another wide receiver in the second round.
Yeah.
So It's Elway is giving Drew Lock the tools to succeed that maybe he didn't do with a Paxton Lynch,
right,
or Trevor Siemian, or a guy like that.
And in every draft, I guess not every draft, but we always have that one pick that you didn't see coming, that perhaps was not a needed pick, but the value was just too good to pass up.
Yeah, you have a guy who would be a great fit on a team, even if that team has other needs. But
think Randy Moss in '98 with the Vikings with Chris Carter and Jake Reed, 2,000-yard receivers. But it's just like Dennis Green is like, we're taking this guy.
No, Dennis Green even told him before the draft. If you ever saw the Rand University 30 for 30, Dennis Green told Randy Moss, like, if by some act of God you're still around at pick 21, we're taking you. So CeeDee Lamb from
Act
Oklahoma.
of God happened.
Yeah, act of God happened. CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, the speedster who's been the lucky recipient of having quarterbacks such as Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, and Kyler Murray, somehow was still on the board at pick 17 for the Dallas Cowboys. And even though that offense was already set up to have to play in a bunch of shootouts this year because they needed some help on the defensive side of the ball, can you argue against the wide receiver trio of Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and now CeeDee Lamb?
Not.
Especially with Dak Prescott needing to prove himself this year on a franchise tag.
How happy do you think Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones in Jerry's $250 million yacht? I'll repeat that, $250 million yacht. I mean, how happy do you think he was when CeeDee Lamb fell to him in the 17th pick?
It probably took every bodily function in his body to hide how happy he was.
That's going to be a fun offense to watch. I mean, you know what?
That line is getting a little bit older, though.
Yeah, and they had Tyron Smith. Didn't he retire? Not Smith. Who was it? I think it was Tyron. Look that up.
I looked that up real quick.
Look that up. But
Zach Martin's still there. I know that.
Zach Martin's still there. Zach Martin's like the star of
No, Tyron Smith is still there.
Frederick? Was it Frederick who retired?
I think you're
okay,
Travis Frederick. Yeah, Travis Frederick retired. Yeah.
Travis Frederick retired. I mean, they're getting a little older, but I mean, they're still. They're still damn good. I mean, they're better than most. I would say more than 3/4 of the NFL's.
They still have an elite running back, Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel Elliott. Dak, as you said, is in a proven year. You know he's going to come on and send out a shout out to the Prescott family. I know Dak's older brother Jace passed away. We don't know of how, but really doesn't matter. But thoughts and prayers to the Prescott family.
Obviously,
I mean that had to be. Couldn't imagine what they're going through. So love and prayers to the Prescott family with that. But he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder, and I think he almost threw for 5,000 yards last year. I mean, he's a quarterback. You give him another weapon in CeeDee Lamb. I mean, and I would have never predicted. It's funny. Like, I read a story of, like, their second round pick, Diggs.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs.
They were actually targeting him in the first round.
Yeah, they were targeting him for the 17th pick.
And they were able to get him in the second round.
Now, you talk about a team who made the most out of the value of its draft position. I know we said that for Arizona as well.
Of course.
Dallas very much took advantage.
Of course.
And they needed some defensive pieces. Of course, Sean Lee can't stay healthy at all. Leighton Vander Esch has been great for them. Jalen Smith has been great for them. But yeah, this is going to be a team that's going to be playing in a lot of shootouts, and they also have a whole tight end now.
Yeah, that pretty much. I mean, look, the rest of the first round played out. Like, I love the picks that the Chargers made. They got the inside linebacker from what school? Why is it like leaving me right now? Murray, was that his name? Anyway, I love the rest of the picks that they got. I mean, each team pretty much covered the needs that they needed to cover. I mean, this was not like, again, we're not going to assume or like foresee the future of like, oh, this was a great job. But I think
I'm going to make a prediction right now. Justin Jefferson, sorry, buddy. Sorry you got stuck with Kirk Cousins.
Jefferson to the Vikings. Look, I like the pick. I mean, they kind of had to, with the Diggs trade, Stephon Diggs, not Trayvon, but I like Jefferson. I think solid prospect. I mean, everything kind of played out the way it needed to play out. All the teams covered all their bases.
Yeah, for about the next 10 picks, as we said in this draft, a lot of fan bases are very happy with what their teams did in this draft. It felt like they addressed the needs that they needed to, but now we're going to get to a team that did not.
Yeah, so I thought going into it, the Lamb selection was kind of like was probably going to be like the weirdest thing that we saw that night. Not so. The Green Bay Packers, who traded down and then traded back up.
No, they didn't trade down. They were already at pick number 30.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So they were at the end of the first round. Okay, so they traded actually up like 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, to pick number 26.
Select one Jordan Love, the biggest enigma of this draft. Regis, I think we kind of talked about it the next day. I kind of initially loved the pick in the sense of I kind of thought it was ironic. They're just kind of bridging their gaps. I haven't seen obviously a lot of footage on Jordan Love, big arm, Mahomes comparison, whatnot, whatever. Initially, I kind of thought it was a cool pick, but looking back on it, a team that went 13-3 and obviously overachieved. They have a quarterback who's arguably one of the top 5 greatest quarterbacks or greatest talents ever. And you don't give him any weapons. Quarterbacks have shown that they can play into their 40s. TB43, Drew Brees, guys of that sort. It's just like Rodgers is there. You had a rebound. He had a rebound year for Aaron Rodgers standards. Again, won your division easily. You have a motivated kind of Aaron Rodgers, kind of like, you're going to take another quarterback with the first round?
Here's the thing. You see, I didn't know what to think because Green Bay historically has had a lot of great quarterbacks make great contributions for their team, right? You go all the way back to like Bart Starr and Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jay Cutler. But are you kidding me? Jay Cutler
do so many picks. I get it. Do so many picks to the Packers. I know.
But anyway, it's one of those things where when I first saw them make the Jordan Love pick, it's like, okay, this is an organization that knows quarterbacks, so maybe they know something that we don't. But I thought of something else too. What if this was merely done? Because you remember in the 2005 draft, Aaron Rodgers fell to Green Bay at 24. They didn't have to trade up. They get him and they sit Rodgers for 3 years behind Favre. Maybe this pick was made to motivate Aaron Rodgers as he gets into his age 37, 38, 39 seasons to, play as good as he can at a high level while he still can.
Perhaps, but it was still the wrong pick. I mean, when you have the abundance of talent at wide receiver that you had, you could give Aaron Rodgers another weapon outside of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, they could have gotten T. Higgins. They could have gotten Jonathan Taylor.
Denzel Mims. I mean, there was a lot of picks there. I don't really understand why they did that.
And what confounds it even further is if you get to their second round pick, they take A.J. Dillon out of Boston College.
Again, which they have a running back already.
Yeah, they have Aaron Jones, who was a breakout star, had 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys last year. And why would you take that kind of draft capital to take not a quarterback who we don't even know is even going to be that good, and a running back, which, let's face it, running backs can really go any direction nowadays anymore with RBBCs, injuries and things like that, and shorter careers. Why not address the needs that you need to, particularly on defense?
If I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be livid. I mean, I would. They actually had a small interview with Jordan Love the next day. He said Rodgers did. Look, if anybody would know the situation right now, and props to Rodgers for being kind of like, again, not having that kind of, like when Aaron Rodgers was selected in 2005 by the Packers, Brett Favre made it known, like, I'm not going to show this guy anything. I mean, we didn't need him, this, that, and the other. And we saw how the first few years, how the relationship kind of came up.
But again, with where the Packers draft capital was in 2005, it's one of those things where you didn't know how much Favre had left in the tank. You couldn't not pass him up.
Exactly. And they didn't have to move up or move down, whatever. He just fell right to him. Now, getting back to my point, props to, like Rodgers kind of reaching out to Love, saying, like basically extending his hand, basically saying like, welcome, this, that, and the other, at least making Jordan Love feel comfortable. I mean, so
but again, if anybody knows how to play the politics,
exactly, and we've seen the infamous Aaron Rodgers with the soul patch and the spiked kind of gelled hair, just kind of looking just like somebody shot his dog in that green room.
If you ever need a 2005 image, that is it right there. They may as well have been playing Gwen Stefani's Hollaback Girl in the background.
Yeah. And so basically, look, Rodgers had a great quote. He understood, like, even going into like a few months, if the Packers want to draft a QB, he's not going to beat me out anytime soon, which is very true. I mean, this is a pick that's looking 2-3 years down the road at most. So I think Rodgers is secure in his position. But with that being said, you still have a team that can compete. And the fact that you had so much talent going into the first, even your second round pick was kind of like a what the F moment. Like,
And not that A.J. Dillon was a bad running back. I think he could be a contributor.
But they didn't need him.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't need a running back. Like if the Rams would have taken, say, him instead of Cam Akers, that would have been completely understandable. But again,
Dobbins,
or J.K. Dobbins. My God.
DeAndre Swift. I mean, okay.
Talk about a team that we haven't talked about yet. The Ravens. My God, did they have a great draft?
Wow.
Patrick Queen out of LSU plus Dobbins. That front office always seems to nail draft day year in, year out.
Can I say one thing? The Patriots are they're the definition of what you want as far as longevity in organization. I mean, like year in, year out, just kind of like. But the Ravens actually, from a draft standpoint, are better.
I agree.
They're better and more consistent. They just kind of know kind of the holes.
They know who the top guys are.
They know exactly what they need to get. Even like 2 years ago when they were out of the first round, traded their picks to get back into the first round to draft Lamar Jackson. How'd that work out?
I'd say it worked out pretty well for him. He's an NFL MVP. Or you even go back to 2008. They get Joe Flacco unheralded out of the University of Delaware, and he wins a Super Bowl MVP.
Exactly. And how can anybody ever forget the inaugural 2 picks in the first round? Jonathan Ogden and some guy named Ray Lewis.
Yeah, back when Baltimore's team didn't even have a name yet. They weren't even the Ravens yet. They were just Baltimore.
Obviously Ozzie Newsome is not there anymore, but I mean the
whole Stephen Biscotti run franchises.
I'm trying to remember who the GM's name, but obviously they have a structure of and they still continue to knock out the park.
Yeah, well, and that's a team that continues to knock it out of the park as compared to teams like the Packers who have their head-scratching moments, and another team that also did so as well.
Yeah, how about those Eagles? I mean. What do you think? Is John Hamm? Doug Peterson. Do you think he's just trying to get cute? Is he like trying to mimic Sean Payton? Trying to be why? And look, I get that Carson Wentz is a bit of a brittle guy.
He's kind of shown an injury-prone nature over the first few years.
But with that said, you did invest $100 million plus in him. Still. Talent-wise, a top 10 guy. Last year, Carson Wentz threw for 4,000 yards. You know how many guys he had in that receiving core that had over 500 yards? None. He was throwing to practice squad, he was
throwing to some complete no-names.
Practice squad. I think me and you could have made that roster and caught a pass from, like, Wentz. Like, just the way that they were going. Why would you... With your second round pick, take not only a quarterback, but a guy who's a project in Jalen Hurts. Now, I like Jalen Hurts. Stand-up guy.
He was great for Oklahoma's offense, but he didn't have the NFL skill set that a Baker Mayfield or a Kyler Murray did.
Why would you, again, you have an abundance of talent, of wide receivers, a Denzel Mims,
they did get Jalen Reagor in the first round out of TCU, but again,
a Claypool from Notre Dame. You had guys that you could help. I mean, I know Deshaun Jackson was hurt last year. He's going to come back. Obviously, hopefully he stays healthy. But why would you? What was the train of thought? Just when I thought Green Bay, at least I could see Green Bay's appeal with taking a guy. So far, low floor, high ceiling, right? That's Jordan Love for a nutshell. I could see the appeal. Jalen Hurts was the guy. I was just like, wait a minute, what is he gonna do? If Carson, let me throw this out at you right now. Carson Wentz goes down. Let's say week 1. Who's the starting quarterback? Is it gonna be Jalen Hurts? No,
they signed Josh McCown off the street.
And he'll probably do a hell of a job because that's
what he does. Yeah.
So what is the train of thought? You didn't draft a guy in the second round to kind of come in for gadget plays to kind of
Yeah, because if you look at his skill set and how it's going to translate to the NFL, he's going to be a Taysom Hill type guy.
Right. And even that, you don't take guys like that, especially when you need offensive guys. You invested so much in your franchise quarterback, yet you take another quarterback who's a project. Where's the train of thought? Again, I can understand at least going forward what Green Bay is thinking. I wouldn't have done it, but I can understand.
Yeah, but Green Bay also had pieces in, Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams.
Exactly. And again, they went 13-3. I mean, they went to the NFC Championship game last year.
Right.
I really can't understand it for just in any aspect why they would take Jalen Hurts. Again, I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. I stand-up guy. Second round, like first pick in the second round? Like, are you insane?
Especially when they had so many other needs.
I don't understand that.
And the weird thing was, the NFL.com's draft grader gave their day 2 grade an A- even with that pick.
Wow, really?
Yeah. They did get a linebacker at pick 103 at the end of the second round, but or end of the third round, mind you. But
how about the abundance outside of obviously the Hurts? Hurts kind of was like the one that kind of stole the show as far as the second round. How about the abundance of talent that went in the second round?
Yeah, we kind of talked about some of those names earlier. T. Higgins go to the Bengals, giving Joe Burrow a needed weapon alongside the very questionable A.J. Green. DeAndre Swift go to the Lions, which, yeah, they have Kerryon Johnson, but they go through running backs like you wouldn't believe over there. You have no idea how pumped I was when, even after the Browns traded back, we got Grant Delpit at pick 44.
Yeah, and how about my Giants getting McKinney?
Yeah.
Xavier McKinney.
Great pick. Like,
I mean, we texted each other, and we were just like, dude,
both our teams are crushing this.
Like, and how about even the Jets? Like, they were able to move down, get another third-round pick, and they still got the guy that I think they wanted in Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims is kind of like a Brandon Marshall to me. I think he's going to be another Brandon Marshall. Same kind of skill set, body size, everything.
They did just lose Robbie Anderson to Carolina, so they needed a good number one. I think it'll take him a little time to get there, but I think he could be a future star in the NFL.
And Claypool, what team did Claypool go to? He was somebody I was targeting. I mean, he was a very intriguing. Again, another big. You know what this particular draft? Steelers. Oh, outside of Juju. That's not bad. I heard, Big Ben coming back. And
they're going full RB by committee. So
this is the one receiver class that, and again, I wasn't officially, high on them initially, I should say. But they got some big bodies on this. I mean, these guys are 6'1" to 6'4". Kind of outside of Ruggs, I mean, he was kind of probably only like 5'10" guy. Or like 5'9", 5'10" guy. But everybody, the big bodies, unique skill sets. Some guys are burners, some guys are possession guys. But it's like bring a different kind of a variety to the table. I love it.
Well, I think the wide receiver position is attracting a wider range of athletes. Like, these big guys can play full wideout now because they are that fast now, right? They aren't just tight ends anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. And as you mentioned, Josh Jones, a guy who I had going in the first round. What was it, round 3 to the Cardinals?
Yeah. But
great pickup, great value. This is what this 2020 NFL draft class is going to be. Value picks.
Okay, so there's one last name I want to mention from day 2 of the draft that I thought was just completely interesting and apropos of the way this franchise works. The Patriots, early on in round 2, take Kyle Duggar, who was a safety out of Division II Lenoir-Rhyne College, which I didn't even know was an educational institution. Which, of course, is totally a move Belichick would make. And you know what this is going to eventually mean, right?
He's going to be all-pro.
He's going to be a 6-time all-pro and probably make the Hall of Fame.
And by the time he's 30, Belichick's going to get rid of him. That's kind of what he does.
Yeah, and then some team will oversign him to a 2-year contract, and then his battery will be out because Belichick already knows how that is.
I guess from what we've understand, too, obviously the draft is over now. Belichick did not draft a quarterback, so he's going with Stidham.
Yep, he's going to go with Stidham. Stidham. Or, you know what, maybe he brings in Cam or a Jameis or something like that.
I don't see Cam fitting in that culture.
I'm just saying possibility.
Maybe Andy Dalton? Go ahead.
So, anyway, the 2020 draft overall, like, to put a button on it, like, obviously it's not going to be one of those great drafts like 83 with the 3 quarterbacks and Eric Dickerson and
Elway, Marino, Darryl Green.
Yeah, and 96 like we talked about with the 2 Ravens pick, Keyshawn Johnson, Terry Glenn, and a bunch of others.
Terrell Owens,
Or 2011, or 2011 like we had with Cam Newton, Von Miller, J.J. Watt, all those guys, or 2014 with the receiver class we talked about, plus Khalil Mack. It's not going to be one of those drafts.
No.
But if I had to prognosticate,
at least from the onset, from like judging it right now from where we are?
I'm going to say it's going to be better than average. There's not a lot of, and there could be some elite, but right now there might not be a lot of elite, but there's a lot of very, very good.
You know what? It's going to be funny. Like, hopefully we're still doing this 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line, and kind of see how these guys kind of their careers play out. At least, initially, and see like how many guys take a guy like Darrelle Revis. I remember when the Jets got him, I was like, man, they moved up to get this guy, and then within like 2 years, he was the best cornerback in the league.
Yeah.
So certain positions can speed up the process. Like we always don't like wide receivers and running backs. They always hit the ground running. Quarterback, it might take, even in this day and age, you might see 2, 3 years until you see his overall potential.
Well, nowadays you're seeing quarterbacks make that big jump from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah,
Mahomes,
but
Lamar Jackson.
Even then, you never were like a 1 year guy, like a guy who's like, oh yeah, he had a great 1 year, but you kind of want to see, unless he's a Patrick Mahomes and he's just like you set NFL records in your first start, not a rookie, but your first starting season. It's just like usually like you kind of want to like kind of take it like play it year by year until like year 3 or 4, and like this guy's just stud. But what I'm trying to say is like I can't wait to see like eventually and hopefully listening to this like 4 years from now, being like, wow, how wrong were we? Like we got a couple of Hall of Famers here, like guys who look like studs.
I hope we're doing this show 3 years from now, and we do the 2023 draft episode, and then the next week do our 2020 draft revisited, and we can take clips from this episode and sound like idiots. I'm hoping we sound like idiots.
Well, that Jordan Love, damn, like who knew he would lead Green Bay to a Super Bowl in his first year as starting quarterback? I mean, just things like that. Look, again, throwing that out there. But yeah, this draft to me, at least right now, is the draft where outside of 2 teams, and I think we discussed
we did.
with those 2 teams, and it's not necessarily they're going to be, it's just like their early selections didn't make any sense. And
again, going back to something Bill Polian said when he was GM of the Colts, is like making your picks in rounds 1 through 3 is relatively easy. Rounds 4 through 7 are where Super Bowls are won. And obviously we didn't really cover much, if any, of that today. So again, there could be some players that were taken earlier today. We're recording this on Saturday, April 25th. There could be guys who were taken earlier today that ended up making big differences that we could never have imagined.
Yeah. But I think every team did a good job. They capitalized on this is one of the deeper, at least from, just kind of like previewing it. It's a very deep draft class. I mean, 19 players from LSU and Alabama were taken off the board.
That's like nearly 20% of the it was rounds 1 through 3 picks.
Yeah, exactly.
Nearly 20% come from Alabama and LSU. So again, if we give the full team grades, Alabama and LSU got the best grades of anybody.
So I mean, seeing that, this was definitely a value draft. Every team I thought did a wonderful job of selecting the players, selecting the needs that. Just making the right selections, not reaching. I don't think too many teams reached.
No, exactly.
In fact, no teams really reached. Maybe Green Bay, but not even.
Little.
But they only went up like 3 or 4. I mean, it's not like they traded the farm like they do that. But again,
it's like I said, the biggest surprise I saw, at least in the first round, was the lack of surprise.
Exactly. Not a lot of trades, especially in the first round.
Yeah.
But we saw a good amount of trades in the second round, third round. But this was definitely a value draft. I think all teams, even the 2 teams that we kind of crushed, but everybody did somewhat of a good job. I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of fan bases that are a lot happier today than they were 3 days ago.
And think about the situation that these organizations were put in as far as social distancing, as far as just like that. I thought they did a wonderful job.
And you also have to think of something else. Like, a lot of these guys didn't have pro days where all the scouts are together.
Exactly.
And normally you get a consensus of who the best guys are.
Yeah.
So you got a sense of what a lot of these teams and coaches thought of different players, which is why probably this draft looks as deep as it does.
Yeah. I mean, final thoughts from my perspective. I just from a draft perspective, again, I think pretty much all the teams hit it on the nail. The teams that needed to address, like the Giants, like the Jets, like the Browns, even a team with some veteran presence like the Bucs.
Dallas did really well.
They did very well. Some teams were fortunate enough to get the players that they got Dallas,
Arizona.
obviously. Arizona. They filled the needs that they needed to fill. I didn't see any reaches, particularly. Even Jordan Love. I mean, again,
that one could work out.
It could work out. I wouldn't have done it, but it could work out. But no team really kind of reached all that much. Everybody did really a solid job. The Philadelphia Eagles pick, I don't understand it. I guess I'll have to see how it plays out. But, every team did a great job. And, again, as you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, the NFL Network and ESPN, a wonderful job.
Yeah, they did the best job of anybody.
All
the technical
job.
People at ESPN, NFL Network, NFL operations, people in front of and behind the camera, the producers, directors. That was a beautifully executed draft without having a blueprint to do it.
It was an interesting experience. Watching it from home, I'm pretty sure like many of you, watching it from home, I mean, we had some moments.
We did.
You can never forget Mike Vrabel. I won't forget that one for a while.
What can I say? Najee Davenport would have been proud.
And, Kingsbury, I mean, look, in this day and age that we live in with social media, things like that, I mean, obviously that helps kind of like,
yeah,
just going forward,
One final thought I want to put out there is that there are a lot of people in the media, not just the sports media, but the media in general, who offered a lot of criticism. Who to the NFL is like, how can you proceed with free agency and the NFL draft and everything like that? Well, the first night of the draft had 16 million viewers, which is the most in the history of ESPN and the networks showing the draft. Night 2 had 8 to 9 million people watching it, which was more than the LCS games last year. Like we said, a bunch of young men and their families got to have their moment. Money was raised for victims and first responders. Yep. So to all of you people that said that the NFL shouldn't have gone on with their business, I will very politely tell you to shove it up your fucking ass.
Props to Roger Goodell for not canceling the draft. And, and the NFL finding a way to make this work. I mean, Roger, like, Stiffo himself, not a very charismatic guy. Yeah, again, I wouldn't want to have a beer with him, but he made this call to have this continue. Yeah, and it was very much needed.
And Stiffo did a great job this week, as much as I hate saying it.
He did a great job, and he did his best on camera. Just hopefully, next year when the draft gets back to normal and the fans are
back to normal. I'm going to Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. It'll be in Cleveland. And they're just raining down those boos. It'll feel a little bit more natural.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to be part of that.
I might go with you.
Hey, we might have to do a live episode.
We can do that. Final thoughts. I mean, look, great experience. Much needed 3 days. You know what? Every team did a good job, and that's what I take away from this draft. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, and as a football fan, this was a good weekend for everyone.
Very good weekend, and that's it.
So next week, we're not sure what we're going to do next week.
Bulls documentary.
We'll be 4 episodes in at that point, but we do have some sports that are announced to be starting to come back. We'll get to those later on, maybe next week or something like that. We are on Twitter at Reggie N Regis Pod. That's REGGIE, the letter N, Regis REGIS Pod. You can also email us your feedback at Reggie N Regis Podcast at gmail.com. I understand we are also on a lot of streaming platforms as well.
Yeah, 7 to be accurate. We are on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Podcast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Please feel free to just listen to our episodes. Give us any feedback. Like I always say, any feedback is positive feedback. Let us know how much you enjoy the show. Let us know how much of a tool you think we both are. Trust me, we will love you for it.
We're looking forward to see you guys next week. And we are out.
We're out.